Yeah, Chris, I don't think we can hear you. I mean, I can't. Can you, John?
I cannot.
I was going to say, you just went live without letting us know. I think you probably said something when we couldn't hear.
I know. I was in the middle of telling a funny joke, and he cut me right off in the middle of it. Well, we can't hear anything from AAH, so Matthew, I think you should go into very detailed explanation of what happened with your dinner tonight.
All right. It actually turned out to be okay.
What'd you make?
I made garlic lemon chicken with mashed potatoes.
That sounds good.
We
Wow.
only had
All right.
four potatoes, so it didn't make enough mashed potatoes, but
Mashed potatoes. Wow.
Yeah.
You know what? I've been, not to cut you off, but I have been spending a lot of time over the past few months making fun of you behind your back for your chili mishap. I will say that I'm going to take a little bit of that back because I made chili in my new crock pot for the first time on
Nice.
Sunday. Exhausting. Exhausting. I made a shopping list right before I made it because I said to Charlotte, I said, "Oh, I have a new crock pot. Like I'll make you anything you want in it." Chili. Okay, yeah.
Easy.
9,000 ingredients. Cool.
Yeah.
So I had to buy all the spices because I just moved into this apartment. I don't have the spices. So each spice container was $5. So I got 20 of them. So that was a cool $100.
Oh my God.
But I made the chili in the crock pot and it took me so long. Dad came over in the middle of it. I'm chopping vegetables at my desk while talking to him in the living room, like watching football. And then I threw it in the crock pot. It came out pretty great.
Yeah.
I sent you guys pictures.
Yeah.
Put some cheese, some Frito scoops in there.
Was there a little jalapeno on that, John? On top?
Oh, there was jalapeno in there.
I like that.
That's my specialty. I put some obviously green and red pepper, but I put some jalapeno in there. Some cayenne pepper spice.
I will say, even though I have redeemed myself with the chili, I am still eligible for being made fun of for that because it was that bad. But
well, it was it's tough because I went to Seatown, my lovely grocery store there, and there were you've been to Seatown, very small, everything should be where it is. There were 3 different locations for beans. Ask me if I found the beans I needed in the first 2 spots I checked. The answer is no. So chili, it was fun. I have a ton left in my fridge. Erin's coming to visit tomorrow. I hope she enjoys chili for dinner because that's what we're having. No, we're not. We're gonna have pizza, but
Chris, maybe take off your headphones.
Yeah, just connect your mic through the laptop. Go to settings. Go to settings and then audio. And then Mike, do
Well, now you're muted, Chris.
Yeah, okay. That's a good sign, though.
No,
how about now?
No.
You might have to join with your phone.
John, but to continue, he said 1 sec.
No, yeah, but no.
To continue, I made lemon garlic chicken. I think it turned out okay. I was cooking the sauce and it was too thick, and I didn't know why. It's because I forgot to add chicken broth, and then I did, and it turned out okay. I don't know how good it is. I didn't eat it yet, but I think it turned out fine.
Yeah, dinner is dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah, making dinner is exhausting. Tonight, and I made this last night too. I'm pretty excited about it. I got these spicy Italian sausages that I put in a little red sauce. Well, I didn't do that. Did you?
No.
But yeah, I'm having that for dinner.
It'd
I
be
had it
nice
last
if Chris, answered his phone or something. I don't know.
night.
Can we start like talking about hoops or no? It should be.
We could talk about hoops. We can talk about the college football playoff right now. Who do you
Oh.
got? Why?
Let me see. I'm gonna root for Notre Dame. I don't know.
Agreed. It's the John Cassidy and Cam Teza Bowl.
It is. It is. Yeah, I think Notre Dame was favored by 1.5.
Yes, I checked that earlier today.
Yeah, I don't know much about college football, but I don't know. The Penn State quarterback. Apparently, the Giants are linked to him now too. But I thought he was going back like officially.
They should not draft him. I hope that Abdul Carter has an insane game. So good that idiot Joe Shane knows to pick him at 3. The defensive end from Penn State, Abdul Carter, number 11, is awesome. Chris, we can hear you, man. I love it. We can't really see you.
Yeah, I just adjusted the camera. Can you hear me or no, Matt?
I can hear you, but
okay,
the camera's blocked.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, so let me explain all this, guys. Okay, and of course this happens when 13 people are watching. So believe it or not, this is actually coming from my brand new laptop. So very nice that it's being cooperative on the very first night. So I don't. Which we did you guys hear me on the pre-show? I thought you did.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, John did. Okay. All right.
Well, I did initially.
Okay, I don't know what happened then. All right, yeah, I'm gonna have to figure out how the fuck to do that then. But okay, so, yeah, we're already 15. How many? 10 minutes? Okay, that's not bad. But okay. So, but yeah, shout out to Matt for making dinner. Yeah, looking forward to having it afterwards.
I wouldn't be too excited.
What was that?
I wouldn't be too excited. I think it's gonna
okay.
be. Yeah.
Okay, but I think I was also too excited to give my number 59. I don't know if Matt, you heard it the first time I was saying it. Do you know which episode this is? Episode 59.
Sean Mania?
Is the Sean Mania episode?
Nice.
Yeah, the Mets ace, who I'm hoping to not be the ace anymore. I'm hoping that Kodai Senga is going to be better than he is this year, but we'll see. We'll see about that. No,
Sean Mania Cy Young campaign on the way. Chris Sale arm slot.
Ooh, okay, I like that. Did want to give a couple shout outs though, because there are a couple new additions. So first off, this banger hat that I got from my buddy Joe from Knights of Columbus. He's a great guy, big sports fan as well. Did I show you guys the shirt? I don't know if I did or not.
You showed me. Very cool gift.
Sure, yeah, from Olivia, who's been on the show before for 5 seconds. She was in Dallas for a work trip. Yeah, and also shout out to our sister, as John mentioned. What was that?
Liv knew enough ball to not get you a Luca thing and get you a Dirk merch.
Yep.
Very cool.
Yep, absolutely. And then shout out to our sister Erin Driscoll for buying me this dope tapestry back here. So yeah, very cool looking tapestry. Also still got the jerseys hung up. You can still kind of see Shaq and Gobert. To bring in the comedy mix in there. You can see Tatum also, and from back here you can also see Paul Pierce, and then whoever's on the side there, who's Al, Kawhi, and stuff. So yeah, you can't really see those though.
I'm very happy you hid the Steph Curry jersey because I don't want to have to vomit live on stream.
Yeah, maybe I'll bring the Al one here because you can see the Kawhi one a little bit, but yeah, I don't know what the hell that was because like I literally did nothing. I was just futzing around the entire thing. So I'm happy we're back though, and it's working now, and clearly not really many people left it because of it. So yeah, we got a great show out of us. We'll be discussing the Celtics based on I said the past 2 games in the agenda, but however, didn't want to talk about the other 2 games because those are great games. While I was live last week, the Celtics were playing the Wolves, who they which Matt and I watched the 4th quarter together. Then it was the Celtics versus the Rockets. Then the next day, that was also a great game. And then Sunday, Celtics versus Thunder, not so great. And then yesterday, Celtics versus Nuggets, which I'll be honest. Oh no, it was yesterday. Oh wait, I did watch the game actually. I was thinking I didn't watch the Cavs Thunders game. Yeah, I didn't watch that game though. But yeah, we're talking about our friend Jimmy Butler. We're going to be very objective at giving our opinions there. Or no, we're not going to be too objective because we have such a high opinion of him as a basketball player and as a person. So we're very we're going to try our best to try to be as objective as possible when giving our takes on him. And then afterwards, we will be discussing the NBA All-Star Game, and more specifically the voting that came out today and who we think should be first-time All-Stars. So we're very excited for that. But yeah, we can talk. Yeah, we don't have to talk too deep about the games from a week ago, but yeah, we definitely can. We can kind of mesh those two together. But the Celtics beat the Timberwolves on, I think it was a score of 108 to 105. Jason Tatum put up an absolute masterclass, while the guy who apparently surpassed him back in May put together the worst game I've seen him play. Which, to be fair, I've only I haven't really watched a ton of him outside of like the big games because only timing things. That's what actually I've watched him a good amount this year. But and then the Rockets game was also a great game as well. It was great but it was good for most of the game, but then they kind of pulled away at the end. So, Matt, do you have any takeaways from either of those two games?
Yeah, I do have a couple takeaways. From the Timberwolves game, Jason Tatum is a certified stud. Like we'll get into the Brandon Jennings comments in a minute, I'm sure, but he is like a bona fide top 5 player in the league. If you don't think so, like I think you're just hating. Me personally, I think he's a top 3 player in the league, only behind Jokic and Giannis. And I know that Ann had a pretty tough game, and I know you were enjoying that, Chris. But you know, this game wasn't really more of the way I watched it, wasn't more of a positive for the Celtics, even though it was a positive. They won. They beat a team that was in the Western Conference Finals last year, even though they've been struggling. It's more of a negative towards the Timberwolves, I think, because they really look lost out there. I really don't know what their identity is. They it seems like they rely on Ant a lot, which obviously top 10, wherever you want to put him, top 10 to 15 player in the league. When he has an off night, this team seems very lost. They had a pretty good Julius Randle night as well. And I don't know, like it just looks, I don't know what their identity is. Like last year was their defense, and I think this year their defense is fine, but it clearly isn't the same as it was last year. When the 3 ball isn't falling for Ant or he's having a tough game, like it feels like they're just lost out there. Like I don't know, just from watching them the past couple games, they've really been struggling, and they got to figure it out quick, or like they're gonna have to, because I mean Randall's due up for an extension. Like they're gonna have to blow it up if they don't find their identity and think that he's not the guy for Ant.
Yeah, I really like that point you made, Matt, about when Ant kind of has a slow scoring game or maybe an off scoring night. That's kind of it for the Timberwolves. And you saw with his post game press conference comments. Said he's 23, he doesn't like being double teamed, he wants to score the ball, which I think we can all understand in a way, right? Like we've all played basketball, obviously not at any kind of similar level to him, but like, getting double teamed is not fun. Having to make the right play is not necessarily fun, but you see it in a mature basketball player like Jason Tatum. When he gets doubled, he makes the right play. And that was not always the case. It wasn't, because you saw in earlier playoff series against Miami, maybe in the bubble, where he did have a good series. But just in general, like when he got doubled, sometimes young stars, when they get doubled, they try to do a little bit too much with the basketball. And that's understandable. But that's what kind of stands out to me the most. The difference between, and I'm referencing Jason Tatum because so many people told me over the course of the last 6 months that Anthony Edwards is better than Jason Tatum. When Jason Tatum gets doubled, he makes the right pass. And granted, yes, he does have a better roster. It's easier to do when you have better players around you to make that extra pass or, make the right play. But I think it kind of goes unnoticed when Jason Tatum gets doubled and immediately swings the ball, or finds the guy with a cross court pass or something like that. But in regard to Anthony Edwards, like saying in the post game press conference that you hate being doubled, like do you want to give opposing teams just scouting material? Like what do you think is going to happen for the rest of the year now? This isn't a pickup run with Devin Booker saying that he doesn't like getting double teamed. Nobody likes getting double teamed in a pickup run, but like, what do you think? And this, I think when we've brought it up probably like every week on this podcast, the Timberwolves trading away Karl Anthony Towns for Julius Randle. I know it wasn't a 1-by-1 swap. Like, if you double Ant, swinging to Cat is much more valuable than swinging to Julius Randle, in my opinion. Like, I think he gives you a lot more versatility offensively. Especially when you have Rudy Gobert, who I know opinions are divided on Rudy Gobert, but on the offensive side of the ball, not necessarily a versatile player. But I think all in all, obviously, when you have a nationally televised game, Celtics versus Wolves, there's going to be a lot of opinions, a lot of very quick thoughts about it. I think it can be easily chalked up as Celtics are better than the Timberwolves and had a very poor game, and that's that. I don't think it really defines a player as who they are, but it was kind of put on blast, or it was a little bit more evident that how limited the Wolves are.
Yeah. Chris, can I add a couple things? I just pulled up the box score.
Yeah.
I forgot how well a lot of other guys played on the Wolves this game, and they still couldn't beat the Celtics without Porzingis or Brown.
Dante.
Julius Randle had 27, 8, and 7. Jaden McDaniels played really well, especially in the second half. But I said it a couple weeks ago, you're too reliant on this is what happened with the Mavs too. You're too reliant on one player. If one of them has an off night and you lose, that's not a winning formula at all. And I said it a couple weeks ago. Mike Conley had 5, 2, and 3. I think he left early, if I'm not mistaken, with an injury. I don't think they're going to win with Mike Conley. I think they need a true point guard, especially because their spacing is so horrible. They need a true elite point guard if they want to make a deep run this year.
I just said Dante for that game. He didn't necessarily have a great stat game, but he did have a couple big shots down the stretch.
He shot well.
Kind of cut the lead down. Yeah.
So yeah, you say make a deep run. The Wolves are currently 19 and 17, so they're going to have to go 21 and 2 if they want to be considered a contender based on the 40-20 rule. So it's quite unfortunate on their end. However, I'm not going to get too cocky because the Celtics aren't locked by any stretch. They got to go 13 and 10, which they should do. But the crazy things have happened when they've gone on bad runs before, but not recently. But it's happened before. Gonna just say two separate facts, and you can take it away how you want. The Wolves decided to bench Rudy Gobert at the end of the game because they justifiably didn't think that he matches up well with the Celtics, and they lost the game anyway. I'm gonna let the audience to take away what they want with that. I'm not gonna give my opinion on that. I'm just saying what happens. They benched him and then they lost. So that's
it's crazy they benched him and he still was a -6.
I was gonna mention that, but yes, I was very aware of that. Mainly because I know you were gonna correct that, but I said we could talk about the Rockets game. We don't have to talk about it a ton though. They won. Yeah, I said it was close. It really wasn't. They won by 23, but they were up 10 going into the fourth. So it was the game was closer than the score, but yeah, they won by 23. But yeah, the Rockets are still a very fun team in my opinion. One of the best defensive teams in the league, but just outside the top 10 in offense. So their ceiling. It's one of those things where matchups have to go well for them. They want to make the conference finals, but even then, the West is a lot tougher than the East. So I'm thinking that's pretty unlikely that they'll make the conference finals. I think the Grizzlies and the Nuggets, even the Mavs, fully healthy are better than them. But we can discuss that another day when we talk about other teams. But we'll flip on to the negative switch real quick. We'll talk about the Thunder game, which Matt and I watched most of the game together on Sunday. The Nuggets are. And I wrote this in my Power Rankings article the other bit. The Thunder. I think that the gap between the Thunder, the first seed, and the second seed, I think that's the biggest gap in the West since KD was on the Warriors. In my opinion, that includes the Lakers in 2020. It includes the Suns. Gap wasn't big in 21, 22. Obviously, you can debate the Warriors were the best team or not. And then Nuggets in 23. They had an easy run, but they weren't the consensus title favorites going into going into the playoffs. A lot of people had the Suns or the I forgot who the other teams were, the Warriors out of them, but this year, I definitely think that this is the biggest gap that we've seen between the Thunder and between the first and second best team. I think the Thunder are the best team, hands down. They just have so many layers. They have they're just so well put together. They have if you go down the checklist, they have a superstar. They check. They have elite defenders. So they were without debatably their two best defenders in Chet Holmgren and Alex Caruso. But even without those guys, they still have elite defensive personnel. Isaiah Hartenstein, great defender. Lou Dort, elite defender, one of the best wing defenders in the league. And even though I would say Shea is the only elite shot maker on the team. And their shooting has struggled this year. I wouldn't really consider the shooting overall I struggled. I just think all their guys happen to be going through a bad shooting stretch. So they really don't have a ton of weaknesses other than playmaking off the bench, I would say, because and even in general, because like Shea's a good playmaker. I don't think he's a great playmaker though. So yeah, the Thunder are just a great team, and as much as I still believe in the Celtics, and I'm certainly not, obviously not, it'd be silly to pull the plug on them at all because they're still playing great. But we already knew this, but it's going to be much tougher for them to win the title this year than last year.
Yeah, Chris, you mentioned the gap in the West between the Thunder and the next best team. Right now, the Thunder are plus 135 to win the West, and the Nuggets are the second favorites at plus 600.
Wow.
In the East, the Celtics are 110, and then the Cavs are 380. Knicks are plus 400. I don't like if the Thunder don't win the West this year, something crazy has happened or something has gone terribly wrong. I think everyone's thinking that. Like everyone that I've seen has the Thunder winning the West, and there's a reason for that. Chris, you mentioned their depth. I think their depth is extremely underrated. Their bench is really good, and this is without Chet. Like their bench is just going to get better when Chet comes back. I don't know who will.
And Alex Caruso.
And Caruso is out too. And Caruso's been struggling really. Like defensively, he's still there, but he's shooting 26% from three. He shot, I think, 41 last year. There are 9 guys shooting over 35% from three on the Thunder right now. One of them is Mitchell, who's only taking 1.5 threes a game, so don't count him. But everyone else is taking and Williams is taking 2 threes a game. Everyone else is taking over 3.5 threes a game, and they're shooting the lowest percentage.
Wait, J-Dub's only taking 2.5, or is that J. Well?
No, not Jalen Williams. What's his name? Let me click on it. Kenrique Williams. He plays 13 minutes a game.
Yeah.
And he's shooting 44%. That guy. Like, they have elite defense. They can shoot the ball well. They're deep. They have the all-star. Their number 2 is either Chet or J-Dub, and on any given night, they're a very elite number 2 option. I am going to be extremely scared as a Celtics fan if we play them in the finals. I personally, biasly, I think the Celtics are still the best team in the league. I think they're the best team until somebody proves something else. But I don't know. The Thunder are scary this year.
Yeah, Matt, you make a lot of great points. I totally agree that the Celtics are the best team until somebody proves that they can knock them off. But the Thunder, I will say, and I'm not going to make this like a across the board comment, but the Thunder give Celtics vibes in a way, right? They just cover all avenues, and I think that their off-season additions go unnoticed because I think Shea is great. I think J-Dub is great. They got a lot of players from last year that are either took a step or just as good as last year. But Isaiah Hartenstein, like these guys like him really put them over the top. And I think that's the reason why they're 30-6. Now, here's another thing. You could analyze this game all you want. The Thunder beat the Celtics at home, note that, without Chet, without Alex Caruso. Yes. The Celtics were fully healthy, quote unquote. I'm not really sure Jaylen Brown's fully healthy. I'm not really sure Kristaps Porzingis is fully healthy. But you can't discount the fact the Celtics shot very, very poorly from three. And it's not just poorly, it's very, very poorly. Like they had one of their worst 3-point shooting nights of the season. If not, I think probably the worst 3-point shooting night of the season. And that's not really going to happen consistently. And a lot of, TV talk shows are going to say this is why, thank God the Celtics won the championship last year, because it's like the go-to talking point was they can't win shooting this many threes because like if they do have a bad night, like they're screwed. And that's not the case. Like the reason why the Celtics shoot so many 3-pointers is because A, it's analytically sound, and B, because they have so much talent on the perimeter that teams have to help out on Jason Tatum, on Jaylen Brown, on Kristaps Porzingis, and it leaves guys like Drew, Derek White, and even vice versa. So I think, awesome game. It would be an awesome finals if they do meet there. It'd be an awesome finals as an NBA fan. I don't think either the Thunder fans or the Celtics fans would be exactly happy. But I think that the Thunder, I think we have all been saying it for years, not years, for probably since the end of last year, that the Thunder are the team to beat in the West. You know, they're very talented. They got that superstar in Shea. And they're an exciting team to watch. They're fun if you look at it as an objective fan. But I wasn't exactly thinking that on Sunday when I was watching from my living room here. But it'll be exciting to see how they progress. I'm excited to see a fully healthy Nuggets team potentially meet them in the Western Conference Finals. I think that'd be pretty cool. But you know, we'll see.
And we'll segue into the Nuggets real quick in a second. But I did want to, however, touch on one more thing with that game. And that was, we also saw, not only do we see two elite teams going at it, we also saw two elite coaches going at it too. Mm-hmm. There were so many adjustments being made on both sides. It was so cool to watch. And for those that are still trashing Joe Mazzulla for like his lack of adjustments or like he doesn't know what he's doing, they just you just look dumb at this point. Mazzulla has proven about how analytically driven he is, how much he knows about the game, how much he talks about the game. If you actually listen to the way he talks about the game, like you know that the guy knows what he's talking about. And people forget about the fact that Mazzulla was one of the driving forces behind Ime Udoka's coaching staff, who got all the flowers there. So those like I have seen a good amount of Joe Mazzulla slander lately, especially after the Celtics went on that bit of a cold stretch there. So
their cold stretch, it's ridiculous.
Cold stretch to our standards, exactly. But yeah, I definitely think those are two. Dan Greenberg has said like multiple times the past year that he thinks that it's Spoelstra, Mazzulla, Daigneault, in the same, not in the same team. Maybe Spoelstra's in the tier of his own, but like definitely 2 and 3. I think is those two guys in my opinion.
Before we segue, Chris,
what was it? Yeah.
Before we segue, it's crazy we didn't mention that the Thunder held the Celtics to 27 points in the second half. I was clowning the Rockets when the Celtics held them to 30 points in the second half, or maybe it was 31. I forget the exact number. But 27 points in the second half. I hate to say it, Jaylen Brown got locked up in the second half. No points, no rebounds.
That was one of the adjustments. So it was J.W. Gardner in the first half, and then they put Lou Dort on him in the second half, which ended up being our move. But
torture chamber.
But
torture chamber. But if you know Jaylen Brown, you know he's going to come back. He's going to come back with something.
Exactly. It's not an overreaction by us, which I'm happy. I think the Larry O'Brien has that effect where we can take a loss objectively and realize that it's just one game. But they, credit to the Thunder. They're so good. I'm super high on the Thunder.
Cool. Before we move on to the Nuggets, actually, I just wanted to specify one thing, and that was why the intro played the second time around, and that was because I went to go adjust my volume on my bottom right screen, and then I clicked the intro by accident. So that's what happened there. So that's one thing that just went up totally unchecked. So I just want to explain that's what happened there. But
that makes it way better.
Yeah. So this laptop hasn't really been my friend for the past hour or so, but
what laptop did you get?
I forgot the name of it, but it's a Lenovo though, and it's 16 inches. It moves well. Like it's like I haven't had any internet problems yet. It's just I don't know how to use it. That's I think that's the only thing that I need to learn. I just need to learn how to use it, and then I think it'll be all good. Which another thing was, I was concerned with the internal camera. This is like the internal camera. I thought I was going to use extra, and it looks pretty good. So
very clear.
Yeah. So I'm very happy. I'm happy with the way it is. I just need to learn how to use it before the show next time around. I thought it was all set, but it wasn't. Okay. We'll talk about the Nuggets game real quick, but I very irresponsibly watched the entire game, even though I'd work the next morning. But it was a great game to watch, despite Nikola Jokic not playing. It was still a fun. It was still like a fun-ish game to watch. Like frustrating a little bit because they went out really really hot. They were up like 13 at one point in the first half, and then the Nuggets stormed back, tied the game in the second half, took the lead a couple of times. I think it was a 5-point lead at one point. Celtics kept on fighting back, and then they ended up winning by 12. So, which like I can complain all I want about how they should have won by more and how like the game should have been over earlier. You really can't complain much. But you really can't complain much about a 12-point win, and because blowouts don't happen a ton. I take back, blowouts do happen a ton in the NBA, but like it's not uncommon for weak teams to play to like outplay strong. Sorry, weak teams to like play the level of stronger teams, especially when Jaylen Brown was just having a hangover from the second half of the first game and then went scoreless again in the first half. So overall, I'll give them a B. Yeah, like B minus might be a little too strict for a team that just won, but yeah, those are my takeaways on the game.
I'd say you could even tread into B plus A minus range in my opinion, just because of West Coast trip, and I get it. I get Jokic wasn't playing, but like I always feel like teams who are missing that superstar play a little hungrier sometimes, especially at home. And the Nuggets played a good game. And the Celtics were fully healthy, so it's like a game you should win, and it's almost like that puts like more pressure on you, right? Like even as Celtics fans last year going into the playoffs, we saw the pathway, right? Like we saw that it was Heat, Cavs, and then it kind of went Pacers. I think we were all almost hoping for that path, right? And then even Mavs, because you ducked the Nuggets, which was like, yeah, I think even Jason Tatum said like, when we saw that the Nuggets weren't like the team, or when they got eliminated, it was like, okay, this is like real. But it almost puts a little bit more pressure on you because you're expected to win. And I almost equate it to like when you're the home team in a playoff series, you're expected to win those two games because, the road team is just looking to knock off one of those games, because if the road team wins one, like that's all they needed. That's what they wanted to do to win. So I think while it wasn't pretty, it did end up as a 12-point win, and I know Jaylen Brown didn't necessarily shoot well, and if you want to loop him in with Tatum, if you kind of combine their field goal percentages, it wasn't exactly pretty, but Tatum delivered down the stretch, and so did KP, and so did Drew, and you're just kind of seeing that, and I think Drew has definitely gone a little unmentioned in this first kind of stretch of the year. He definitely got off to a slower start, but I think a lot of what Drew is that a lot of what he does is going to go unnoticed because of a lot of it is on the defensive end. And if he has a bad shooting night, it's okay. He had a bad shooting night. Like he sucked tonight. Like that's not really the case. Like he's still an elite, guard perimeter defender. So yeah, I give it a B plus A minus, great way to wrap up the West Coast trip with your only loss to the Thunder, the best team in the West. So I was pretty happy. I also stayed up for the entire game, even though I had to be up at 6:30 the next morning for work.
I just want to take this time and admit that I was wrong about the Nuggets. The Nuggets are better than I thought. Remember at the beginning of the year, everyone was freaking out about the Bucks and Nuggets, me included. I still think the Bucks are bad, but I think the Nuggets could make a run in the West. I mean, I do think the Thunder are better than them. I think the Grizzlies are better than them. But I don't know if the Grizzlies could beat them in a playoff series. I think they could. They're a top 3 to 5 team in the West right now. And this game was kind of like, I know Jokic was playing, so it was a little different their play style. But the Nuggets attempt the least amount of threes in the league to the Celtics attempting the most. The Nuggets make the 25th most amount of threes a game. The Celtics make the most threes a game. But the Nuggets lead the league in assists per game. They lead the league in field goal percentage, I believe. Let me double check that. Second in field goal percentage. They shoot 50%. And at the beginning of the year, everyone was saying they had to have like a couple young guys step up, and they have been. Christian Braun has been solid this year. Julian Strawther had a great game against the Celtics. I didn't really know him that well. Like I knew last year he was on the team, but he didn't really play that much. This year he's averaging 9.5 points a game. To last year he was averaging 4. He's playing almost double the minutes, and he was awesome. He was a total game changer against the Celtics. He played high energy. He played solid defense. He could jump. He could shoot a little bit. And also Peyton Watson has stepped up this year too. If they do want to go on a deep run, those guys consistently have to play well. Also, I know Russell Westbrook had 8 turnovers and technically wasn't a great game because of that, even though he did have pretty good stats. But he's been awesome in his role this year. He plays super well with Jokic. So yeah, I was wrong about the Nuggets.
I love seeing Russ play well.
Too. Yeah, I really like
Russ. He gets so much hate, and I get it. He's not the player he used to be, and I get it. He's inefficient and he's a little loud sometimes.
That one Twitter account, I hate him so much. I don't want to say I hate him because I don't know him as a person, but he's one of my least favorite Twitter accounts. Ironically enough, it's the guy named George Mikan. I'm sure you've seen him.
Yeah,
he's a LeBron stan account. He was pulling out these he's cherry picking these stats about Russ playing Russ played with Jokic versus how he did with LeBron. Which is the most nonsense thing ever. Where if you look just a little bit deeper into the stats, obviously Russ is playing better. No, not even look at the stats. If you watch the damn game, Russ is playing better with Jokic than he is with LeBron, and that's okay. Jokic is hands down the best player in the league. LeBron was 2022 top 5, maybe top 10 player at the time. It's okay. LeBron doesn't have to be the best at everything, guys. And that's fine. He wasn't great at making the most of Russ. Total side tangent there, but yes, Russ has been awesome.
Jokic is it's so far and away because we all say Jokic is the best player in the NBA, right? Mm-hmm. And then that's even equating for his average defense. You can argue below average, whatever. I think it's below average. If you want to compare offensive games, say who you want as the second best offensive player in the league. Jokic is so far ahead of that person. It's so far. So I agree with you, Chris. I don't think it's a slight to LeBron at all. I just think that you could plug one of the three of us in with Jokic, and we would do okay. Not okay, but we're all
we get open looks.
We would get open looks.
We wouldn't make them, but we get open looks.
Yeah.
Yeah, John, about your point about Jokic offensively, he's far and away the best offensive player in the league right now. All time, I don't know where he lands. Chris, obviously, more all time, offensive players, but this season is one of the best offensive seasons I've ever seen.
I think that he is 5th at worst. I think that Jordan's 1. I think LeBron is 2. I think that Magic is 3, and I think Steph is 4. People can argue
6 because Bird is 5. Gotcha.
We could, and I don't think that's. I know we're trolling, but I don't think that's crazy as an argument as people say. Given that Bird was a much better, he's not a much better scorer actually. Jokic is in the league score as well with his efficiency, but you can argue him over Steph for sure. But I do think that Steph has the longevity, and I think that 2016 was better than any year Jokic had. But you can argue against that if you want, and I won't push back too much against you for that. And I know that everyone hates everyone from Player's Choice and others on Twitter hate Magic Johnson now for whatever reason. So that's so that's another one that people are really weird about. But yeah, I would 3 would be a little too much for me. But yeah, I would say 5 at the worst. I would say
they hate Magic Johnson because liking Magic Johnson almost credits the 80s and 90s.
Yes,
it's a lame argument, but
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I would put him over Curry. 2016 Curry, I'm just looking how many threes he attempted a game. He attempted 10 threes and led the league in 11 and a half threes and led the league in true shooting that year. So that's a season I don't think we'll ever see again. So good point. I was going to say Jokic, best offensive season I've ever seen, but I think it was that year of Curry.
Yeah. Okay. So as I mentioned, guys, make sure you're trying to remain as unbiased as possible. Don't be too nice to Jimmy Butler. Try to find something mean about him if you can. We have a lot of people watching right now. We got 36 people watching. Just so you know, I'm kidding. This is a kind of anti Jimmy Butler Jimmy Butler show, giving how much his team. I'm saying his team because he hasn't carried the Heat despite what people say. So Jimmy Butler has in fact demanded a trade after Pat Riley put out a statement saying we're not trading Jimmy Butler. And then was that before Christmas or after Christmas? It was right before Christmas, right? That they released that statement probably.
Yeah, it was before.
It was before, yeah. So literally less than a month later, you could 2-3 weeks later, maybe Jimmy Butler then comes out and says, "Oh, I need to find my happiness, and it's going to be somewhere else." And then the Heat suspend him for 7 games. That's the most ridiculous. They suspended him for 7 games. That is so much. Okay, yeah. So I'm looking at a New York Post article now, and it's the list of the teams that are that have the best odds for who's going to trade for him. So the Suns are at plus 125, which is way too high in my opinion. We'll go over each of them in a second, but like I'm just going to run through them. They have them staying with the Heat at plus 225, the Pelicans at plus 400, the Grizzlies plus 400, the Rockets plus 900, Warriors 1100, Bucks 1100, and then I'll go down this. Kings 20-1, Pistons 22-1, Nuggets 22-1, Mavs 22-1, Lakers 25-1. So and then Spurs and Thunder 40-1. So Matt, any how about this? Matt, you can give your take on the situation first, then you can tell me who you think he's gonna who you think should trade for him or who you think might trade for him.
I would say that I'm shocked that this is happening, NBA drama midseason, but this is not shocking because it has happened time and time again with Jimmy Butler. My buddy who doesn't really watch basketball was like, "Oh, I thought Jimmy Butler loved playing in Miami." Shout out Jack Cunningham. I thought he loved playing in Miami. Why is he doing this? He did this in Minnesota, he did this in Chicago, and he did this in Philly as well. He forces his way out, and he puts the team that he's on in such a horrible position. If he went to them in the offseason saying, "Hey, listen, you guys didn't give me the assets around me that I need to win. I'm aging." He's 35 years old. By the way, he's 35 years old talking about his joy. You play basketball for a living. Be happy. I'm sorry. He says he's happy off court. Be happy on court. You're playing basketball for a living. He's 35. I will say
Miami. The city of Miami. Yeah. It's a great city to live in. Yeah.
I will say the Heat have absolutely given him no favors. Everyone knew going into the season that this roster was not. Everyone but Pat Riley knew this roster was not good enough to contend. The past couple years, the finals run, even though it's awesome that your team makes the finals, especially as an 18, awesome. It's kind of like the Giants in 2022 when the Giants made the playoffs and won the playoff game. It kind of hurt their franchise because their owners were like, "We're not this is a good core. We're not going to add anything to it." If you have an aging superstar like Jimmy Butler, you have to give him correct assets, which Pat Riley didn't do. However, you could not act like this if you're Jimmy Butler. He's done it time and time again. He's put him in an awkward spot, and he's making $45 million this year, I believe. $48 million this year. And next year he makes $52.5. What team is going to trade for him right now? Who is a Jimmy Butler away from winning? Nobody, right?
Nobody. And, Chris, I saw that you put on the agenda that is Pat Riley handling this the right way? Yes, he is. They should suspend him. Pat Riley,
7 games though.
7 games. It should be 70. Pat Riley.
By the way,
I know we all don't love Pat Riley, and Dad would probably have a stroke if I was hyping up Pat Riley on this podcast. Pat Riley won 4 championships in the 80s with the Lakers. He won another one in 2006 with the Heat. He took the Knicks to the finals in the 80s in his first year. And then he won, 3 championships or 2 championships with when he was the president of the Heat? Why should he bend over backwards for this guy who made the championship in the bubble? Who gives a shit? And then why should he bend over backwards for a guy who made the championship as an 8th seed? I get it. He made the championship. Congrats. We get playoff Jimmy. He's great. He's fun. We get it. But then he hasn't won a championship. He's 35 years old. You think he's going to get better? You think it's going to get easier for him? And I agree with what you guys are saying. They didn't really surround him with the best supporting cast. But I don't know. Why are you bending over backwards for a guy who hasn't delivered you a championship and is not going to deliver you a championship? And I know, I think I read something today that Kendrick Perkins said the Suns have a contract extension of 5 years, 100 and something million, or 2 years, 100 and something million for Jimmy Butler. Are the Suns addicted to throwing out shitty contracts?
Yes.
That would be what are you just funneling money away from this guy? I don't know. I get it. Like you said, Chris, this isn't exactly a pro Jimmy Butler podcast, but the Heat shouldn't bend over backwards for him, and nobody else should either.
The Suns. I'm just thinking about like how like I'm not a general manager, so I can't trash general managers like a ton because like they have hard jobs and everything. But I just look at what some of these teams do. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? The Wizards giving Bradley Beal how much of that contract is it? Was it 300 million? 250. It was 250. Yeah, $250 million, and then and then they found a way to they traded it away. I'm like oh well, you got traded away. Okay, you got Chris Paul back. He's got one more year after the deal to suck it up. A couple years they traded him for Jordan Poole, he's having a good year, but like that's still an awful contract. but then like flip it back over to the Suns. You traded all your pieces for Kevin Durant. You do that every time. It's Kevin Durant. People say they shouldn't have traded Durant. They had a good core. The reality was that the Suns weren't as good that year. Like they weren't as good as they were in 21 or 22. So they did what they had to do. They traded for a superstar, but you already gave up a lot for Kevin Durant. So you have to, at that point you have to work within the margins. They didn't do that. They traded Chris Paul and other pieces for Bradley freaking Beal, who had 4 years left on his contract, getting paid millions of dollars and stinks. He is they put him on the bench. Him and Yusuf Nurkic on the bench, who are both awful. They're both very bad players. You have Kevin Durant, who, when playing healthy, is easily a top 10 player. Has nights where he's top 5, and Devin Booker, who's not having a great season this year, but that might be because like the way things are constructed now. The Suns stink, and the only way that like you could say trading for Jimmy Butler could be spun as a positive is getting off Bradley Beal's contract, and that would be taking on another bad contract. Which Butler's contract is better, but only because he's a better player. But I don't know what else they would give up because they don't have any picks. And if I'm the Heat, I'm not taking on Bradley Beal's contract for getting rid of Jimmy Butler. I'd much rather trade Jimmy Butler for a Pelicans and take on Brandon Ingram, because like I don't know what the Pelicans are like. I don't even know the Pelicans want to do that either, because I know that Ingram is a couple of things. Yeah, like I was thinking about whipping up the trade machine for this, but I was afraid like it would like take up a lot of the show for like making some edits, which clearly I couldn't do that today because of how much of a crap show this laptop is. Well, I'm saying this laptop is mostly my fault, but then the other teams, I've seen a couple ones say the Grizzlies, which would be cool. And I was talking to my co-teacher about this, who knows a ton of ball. Shout out Ben. He was saying like, oh yeah, like that would actually, the Grizzlies would actually be a pretty cool team, because they're not going to trade Ja, they're not going to trade JJJ, and Desmond Bane hasn't been great this year, but you're not going to trade him either. If you trade him for Jimmy Butler, do you disagree, Matt?
No, I just saw his name. I wouldn't do it, but I just saw his name in trade talks. That's why I was like, I don't know what the package would look like without him, because I don't know the money added up and stuff like that.
The money avenue would be Marcus Smart and then a couple other bigger contracts. Which if I saw Marcus Smart in Miami Heat jersey, I would throw the remote at the screen, because but then again, he's not that good anymore, so maybe it wouldn't be as painful. But and the Heat would stink as well. So that's another thing. But yeah, it would be Smart, Matt's guy, Santi Aldama, and maybe like a couple picks as well. But
first time All-Star.
Santi,
not to hop across the agenda. 6
Man of the Year candidate, Santi Aldama.
What you guys don't want to hear me venting about something that's completely off topic about the Phoenix Suns? Is that why you want to move on to the second topic? And yeah, I mean, anything else like that? Any other team stand up? Because I know the Warriors used to be. Go ahead, Matt.
What are the Nets' odds to get Jimmy Butler?
The Nets are 50 to 1. I think that's probably just they're tanking. That's why.
Yeah, but I'm just thinking they tank, like they trade for him. They get rid of their guys that are pretty solid, that are winning them games. So, they don't shut him down, but he doesn't play as many games.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's a regular season. He's not going to play that many games. So
I forgot about the next year of this contract. Yeah, never mind. I was going to say, if this is the last year of the contract, just take on the money and then tank. Like just have Jimmy Butler, and like Manasquan JV basketball from 2018, and let them lose a bunch of games. But he has next year too, so I guess that wouldn't make a ton of sense.
Yeah. Okay. So we can actually move on to the next topic. So first, I'm going to share my screen actually, which it works. So the voting returns came in today. I'll zoom in real quick. touchscreen, by the way. So
Nice.
yeah.
Oh.
So, so the West front court, not really many changes from last week. Jokic is first, KD second, LeBron third, Wemby fourth, AD fifth, Şengün 6, J-Dub 7, Andrew Wiggins 8, Sabonis 9, Jaren Jackson Jr. 10. It's weird, like just looking at it, and LeBron James is not 1. And it's not that it's weird that Jokic is ahead of him. It's more weird that KD is ahead of him because I'm sure we thought one day that KD would suppress LeBron, and I think that he has suppressed LeBron as a player, but he's been injured all year long, and I just don't know. And I understand it's like a fan thing, but I'm having a hard time grasping LeBron James having fewer votes than Kevin Durant when he hasn't really played many games this year.
Yeah, I'm pretty shocked about that.
Yeah,
I'm also.
Go ahead, man.
I guess Wemby at 4. Yeah, I guess it's just Kevin Durant at 2 doesn't make a ton of sense. And I was looking at the East as well, but sorry, go ahead. I'm sure you will. You'll get to that.
Yeah. We'll go back to the East in a second, but if I were to pick I made a TikTok on this, and as I was in the middle of it, I was like, wait, I'm having a hard time picking this. Actually, yeah, I guess my 3 starters would be Jokic, Wemby, and AD, but even Şengün has a good argument. J-Dub maybe, but I know that a lot of fans are going to justifiably vote for a center and 2 forwards. So that would be Jokic center. They would put AD at a forward, and then they would probably want a guy like J-Dub as like a small forward. But he's not as good as the guys ahead of him. So I don't really know what the thought process there would be.
Sorry, Chris.
Go ahead.
Sorry about my ignorance on this. Is it just the top 3 are the starters?
No. So it's okay. Are you talking about for fan vote or for in general?
In general, like how do they? How does it happen?
Okay, yes. So this is 50. So the fans take up 50% of the votes.
Yeah.
Then it's also taken. Then the media takes up 25% of the votes because they do it by ranking based on this. So like Jokic is going to come in first place. He's going to get 1 point.
Okay.
And then the media and the players vote as well. So so like Jokic is going to get 1s across the board, and after that, but yes, it would be top 3. So like there's a chance that we have 3 centers. So Jokic, AD, and Şengün. It's going to be Wemby, by the way. But like I was thinking, Jokic, Wemby, and Şengün could in a realistic scenario could be 3 starters out west. We'll go into the guards though, which I'm having a hard time establishing the guards because Shea's going to be Shea should be the starting guard without a doubt. The rest of that isn't really looking great because Steph Curry is the Warriors have been slipping a ton. Luka is going to be out until the end of the month. Kyrie hasn't played a ton of games now for a week. Ant's been better than we thought, but but like his team is stunk. James Harden having a great year, but I don't think he's going to be a wet starter though. It would be Shea, and my pick would probably be Ants, but if not Ant, then probably De'Aaron Fox because I can tell you sure as hell isn't Devin Booker.
Yeah, I would do definitely SGA, and then either Ant or Fox. I would do probably Ant, but also shout out Norman Powell. He's having a hell of a year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oops. And then the East front courts. We don't really have to go dive too deep into this one, but Giannis, Tatum, and Towns are going to be the 3 front court guys because they deserve to be. Shout out Cat. He's been filthy this year.
Why is Paolo number 4?
I don't know why. I can't wrap my head around it because you know what I think it is that I think that the NBA does the thing where they rank guys based on like the stats, and they rank guys based on the stats, and they don't include the games played. So that's why Paolo and LaMelo Ball are so high. Because like Paolo played 4 games, it was great in all 4 games, and like has like high numbers, and people just click the guys with the high stats.
I mean, LaMelo has missed a ton of games, but he's played 24 games.
Yes,
that's
exactly.
19 more games than Paolo's played this year.
Paolo's only played 5 games. And he's currently playing in his 5th game. So it's it is annoying just because like it's not really that annoying just because like it's gonna it's better that it's happening under this bracket because it's going to be those first 3 guys no matter what, and then the coaches really don't decide their votes based on what the media, the players, and the fans think, but it is just a little silly. But we'll go into guards now. Guards is another one where I'm just like, like I don't like LaMelo that high. I guess I would have, I guess I would have both Donovan Mitchell and Jalen Brunson as the two guard starters. You can make an argument for Dame and Trey, but there's a couple other guys that I like here, but not so much as starters. It's a weird year because like a lot of these guys are deserving of all stars. But I'm like, does this guy really deserve to be a starter? So I don't know. That's my take on the situation.
A lot of guys are having big bounce back years. Garland is. I just noticed that looking at it. Garland's having a bounce back year. Poole's having a bounce back year. Trae Young's playing better than he did last year. Mm-hmm. And Hero's also having a pretty solid year too. He's on my fantasy team.
He's having a very solid year. Yeah. I think he's so. We can actually, we talked about the starters a little bit for the West, but. We have time. For the bench ads is going to be very interesting, and we talked about this a little bit in our basketball group chat with Matt McCann earlier. So for the East, so as I said, it's going to be Giannis, Tatum, and Katz. We still need three more guys in the East front courts to make the All-Star game.
I think Mobley definitely.
Jaylen Brown. I think Jaylen Brown is a definite. I think
I would say Mobley, Brown, and you think Franz have played enough games or no? He's gonna be hurt anyway, right?
What was that?
Isn't Franz going to be hurt for the All-Star game anyway?
I think so, but hang on. I don't know how long he's out for.
If not Franz, then I would do Jimmy Butler.
Okay, Franz Wagner has been out for a torn right oblique. That coach, even though he does not feel the pain of it, he has remained patient as he waits out his recovery process. Doesn't get to anything about the timeline, but
actually, I would not do Jimmy Butler. Sorry, I just looked up his numbers.
Oh, definitely not do Jimmy Butler.
Jimmy Butler with 375,000 votes, averaging 17 points a game. My hot take here is I think Jalen Johnson would be a cool.
I like that.
Be a very cool addition here. He's averaging 19 and 10, or almost 20 and 10, really, and 5 assists. I like Jalen Johnson. I think he really, really flies under the radar.
Yeah,
could be a product of Trey. I think a lot of big men could probably play very well with Trey, at least numbers wise, right?
Yeah. Sure.
And then, that's putting aside my Celtics bias because I think Derek White's awesome. I just don't think the Celtics are as dominant as last year where there is like an argument for that. But yeah, I really like Jalen Johnson.
Yeah, we'll do guards real quick. So do you guys agree with me that it's going to be Donovan Mitchell and Jalen Brunson? It should be Donovan Mitchell.
I think it should be.
Yeah.
And I think Tyler Hero has more of an argument than Jimmy Butler.
I agree.
Yeah, I totally agree. Sorry, I didn't really look at Jimmy's numbers or games played.
No, you're good.
I was just basing it off of these 10 guys. I didn't think of anybody else.
Yeah.
But
if LaMelo finishes first in the All-Star, he's gonna get the starting nod. Like mathematically, that ends up that's what happens.
Oh, that's stupid.
It's very stupid.
I think it should be Mitchell, Brunson, and then LaMelo should be. So it's 3 guards as well.
No, it's only 2 guards. So for the starters, it's three front court, 2 guards. Bench, it's 3 front court, 2 guards, and then 2 wild cards after that. So the 2 guards, I think it's just going to be they're going to make it the top 4 guys. It's good. I think it'll be LaMelo and I guess probably Mitchell for the starters. And I think the 2 bench guys would be Dame and Brunson. But I you know how much I love Donovan Mitchell. I don't know if he should be starting over those 2 guys. But
I don't think this year.
It's tough though, just because he's not putting up the great stats, but like when push comes to shove, like he's been the guy to bring them to like leading their offense at the end of the day in close games, which is why they've been so great on offense. But I saw friend of the pod Tyler Britton, aka Hoop Venue, put up a poll the other day comparing Cade Cunningham and Darius Garland, which I thought was an interesting poll because Garland has been putting up clearly the better numbers, clearly been a lot more efficient, and just been more impactful. But obviously, some of that might have to do with the load as the second best player in the team rather than best player. But who knows what he could have done? But it's one of those things where like both of the guys deserve to make it. But I don't know.
I mean, Garland is one of the. It's a funny comparison because I think we've done it a bunch of times on this pod. It's like a number 3 guy, right? You probably put Garland as the number 3 guy on the Cavs.
Number 3 guy, but he's number 2 on offense, definitely.
Yeah, that's true. Versus the number one guy on like a worse team, a much worse team than the Cavs, who are best record in the East. But I think I value. Here's my thing though. Like I would say I value winning more, and I think Garland's probably been more impactful in winning. But and not to, I think it's tough to like compare it to last season. But like I feel like the Celtics are so much more dominant than the Cavs were last year, and they only got 2 All-Stars. Like how can you validate 3 All-Stars for the Cavs? Like, I don't know. Maybe it's a poor argument, but I don't know.
I think the way you can validate it is that Tatum has been like Tatum was playing like a top 5 player, Brown was playing like a top 15 player, and Mitchell has been playing at best like a top 15 player, and Garland and Mobley are like top 20-ish. Like, yeah, just not as good as Tatum Brown. But yeah, I think that's the argument.
Sorry, who were we comparing Garland to? I missed the
Cade.
Yeah.
How about them Pistons, Chris? Recently, 8-2 in the last 10, undefeated in 2025.
Pistons. Yep.
I think Cade totally deserves to be an All-Star this year. I think it's kind of crazy that he's 7 right now.
I think it's crazy too, but I don't know. It's one of those things because like Paolo got in last year because of his team record, and I don't think he deserved to. But the Magic were better than the Pistons last year, in fairness. But
I do think record matters, but like it's the All-Star game. It's not for accolades as well. I think if you're putting up the numbers and your team's not like the worst team in the league, like one of the worst, because the Pistons aren't one of the worst teams in the league anymore. They've been playing.
They're not.
They're playing
500 ball.
Yeah, they're playing very good basketball, especially as of late. And it's because of Cade.
Yep, absolutely.
24-9.
What was that?
24-9.
That's right.
Can't argue against that.
Absolutely, yeah. We'll do West front court now. I said Jokic. Again, we can do our picks, but I said it'll be. I would pick Jokic, Wemby, and AD as my 3 guys because like they've been playing like the best basketball and they deserve it. But for the 3 guys after that, I definitely go J-Dub. I definitely go Şengün. Actually, that's not hard. And I'm going Jaren Jackson Jr. ahead of Domantas Sabonis, no question about it. I know some people disagree with that, based on the way that he's been contributing to winning, even with John Moran missing a few games here and there, without question, I'm putting Jaren Jackson on my All-Star team.
No, I agree with that. I think it's like you mentioned, All-Star is a lot more offensive leaning, but Jaren Jackson Jr. a lot of his impact doesn't show up really on the box score as Sabonis is more of a box score stat stuffer. Not to discount the Sabonis, but I think what was the stat that he had like however many double doubles last year, and he kind of went unnoticed because like it's not as impactful.
Yep. I know you froze there for a second, but we said probably if we were to pick, we'd go with Jokic, Wemby, and AD for the starters, and then the reserves would probably be Şengün, J-Dub, and maybe he zoomed out there. He zoomed out there for a second. So we'll go back to the front court in a second. But neither of us picked LeBron or AD though, or LeBron or KD. Who knows? LeBron's definitely gonna make it. I don't know about KD, but that'll be very interesting to say the least.
Yeah.
All right, we'll go to the West guards now. So, we said Shea, and Shea's the only lock, I think. After that, I mean, I guess Anderson Fox would be the next 2 locks, but I guess the other one would have to be Steph based on name recognition, but I don't know.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, cool. Sorry, my Wi-Fi was freaking out. I think Kyrie definitely deserves it over Steph this year.
I think so too.
Yeah, Kyrie's numbers are way better. He's on the better team, and with Luka out, he's been out, he's been missing games. But when Luka was out, he was playing well.
Absolutely. I don't know what it is this year. I'm having a much tougher time just big picture wise picking all the All-Stars. There's not even just like I said, the only lock that I have was the East front court. And I just don't know, because like a lot of the guys that are on the best teams, they're not putting up the best stats, so they're just contributing to winning, which is what I care about more at the end of the day. But I know the fans care more about the numbers, which they're allowed to do that. Like that's their prerogative. But it's just an interesting thing to think about. All right, cool. As long let me just stop sharing. Remove this for a second. Okay, cool. We talked about it, but so outside of Wemby, so we talked about Wemby. We said Cade. We said maybe Jalen Johnson. Those are all very cool guys to be considered for the All-Star game. Is it me or is it? Might be both of us, but okay. Okay. I don't know if it was me or if it was John that first for a second there, but okay. So, all right. So, Matt, we'll let you back in for a second here, but we are going to close it out right now. But yeah, thanks for tuning in to another episode of the American Hoops podcast. Hopefully this is going to be the last time that we have any type of technical issues. We're going to figure it out next week. It's going to go very smooth sailing. It was pretty smooth sailing for most of the episode, but Wi-Fi issues cut in here and there, and then obviously I just need to figure out how to use this damn laptop. So but John, Matt, pleasure as always. Hoping to have some other guests on soon. We got a big name coming on either next week or the week after, so stay tuned for that. But this has been another episode of the All American Hoops podcast. We got episode 16 next week. To close out like Showtown, drink water, don't drink and drive, put on a suit, and call your mother. Have a great night, everyone.
Oh, Canada.
Put on a suit, drink water, don't drink and drive. Hey, man, call your mother.
It means nothing. It means nothing.
No, they lying to you. It's about the money.
Now you're more fluent.